how our mornings start a lot. Dark. Got a load of logs on the truck here from last night. A load of Chinquapin stave logs. We're going to get them to the mill first thing this morning. Let this truck build up some air. Then we're going to haul another load of these Chinquapin stave logs in. Then we're going to start hauling pallet logs in. So a lot of hauling. The one good thing is, I guess, good thing, we've got no rain yet, like they said it was supposed to. Which you never know what to think of these weathermen. Is anybody ever going to buy that, by the way? Somebody come buy that 548D. I know somebody needs that thing. It's just sitting there all lonely, not being used. We got good lights on the Star. We'll swing wide here because so many people don't know how to. So Phoenix Cates, just up here on the loader, and I just seen your comment come through. So I'm going to reply to it right now because this will be a good way to explain it. Phoenix asked why we don't haul our logs home tree length and buck them when we get them back to our yard. Save time, and theoretically, yeah, that makes sense. But the logs have to be bucked either way. The logs have to be cut up to the proper lengths. That's just the way it is to be merchandised out to go where they need to go. Well, this is why. Tree link logs will not fit on there properly, whether it be their mixed lengths of all sorts or they got cricks and bends in them. When we buck our logs to length on our job sites, on the landings, like right here, we can put these logs in here and there's less dead air, less space, air between the logs. So we can haul more footage. It's just, we get them back on the yard, I can already go ahead and I can lay my logs out to where they need to go to merchandise them better. It's just a lot quicker, simpler deal, and I can be more efficient with my loads, haul more footage when my logs are bucked ahead of hauling. So that is why we don't haul tree length logs and buck them when we get them back to the yard. Plus, with this tail mount loader, it would be hard to haul long logs. With the behind the cab mount, you could do it a lot easier than you could this tail mount loader because we're limited on the length of a log we can haul on the bed here. Now, when the wagon's built, yeah, we've got a lot more option because we can hang that out the back, probably farther than we need to hang it out the back, which we won't ever do because normally 20 to 24 foot is about the longest logs we ever see in a multiple cut veneer. We have seen some 30s before, and even one time in my life, I seen my dad haul in a 50-foot log, which I know you're asking, how did your dad haul a 50-foot log? And I've told this story a few times, and it was just it's a wonder he didn't get caught. He hauled it on a Sunday morning, hauled it home, which he had about 30 miles to haul it. But if they would have caught Dad, they probably just pulled Dad out of the truck and shot him. They wouldn't ask for his license, no insurance. They'd just pulled him out of the truck and shot him. But he had log hanging out over the front of the cab and logs sticking out the back, which it's been years ago since my dad did that. But my dad was kind of an outlaw when it comes to log trucking. I kind of run a little further out and stretch my legs. Of course, being on social media, we try to do things primarily by the book. I hope you can hear me because the wind is getting it. So again, back to lengths of logs. We try not to have a whole lot of space. This isn't a big load by any means. We're definitely under the bolsters, which I try to stay under the bolsters the best I can when I'm hauling logs. So you'll see a little bit of airspace right here. we try to minimize this the best we can. This configuration here, it's taking me a little bit to kind of learn the rope on this tail mount loader, but I try to put my 8s and or 10s in the front, and I'll put my 12s to the back, or I can run double 8s, double 10s. The one thing I can't do is run double 12s on the truck like I can the Mack. Double 12s in the Mack, we've got enough room out the back, we can hang out the back a little further. Where with this truck here, we can't, just the way we've got it set up. But ideally, we're hauling pretty close to the same footage on each truck, whether it be the Mack or the Star here. So it's all working out pretty good. And I always like to go around my truck, kind of get this debris off here. We don't want any debris in the road. There's always going to be some. That's kind of the reason we went to the floor this time on the trailer. I'm not much of an athlete, I can't jump. Just to try to minimize what we lose going down the road. Being kind of a smart ass today, aren't I? Anyway, the rain still hasn't got here yet. The wind's starting to pick up, as you can hear. We're going to try to get some loads hauled off 401K for the remainder of the day. And I would say that will be it for today. I don't know what the weather's supposed to do tomorrow. I know they were calling for rain, but whether that's still permitting, I don't know. We'd like to try to get the oak finished up in here where we're at on this part of the farm. Go on to the next so we can get on to the next job. So it's Sunday morning, and while most people are taking the day off, Dad and I are not. So right now, I'm going on kind of a hike. We're looking at about a 300-acre tract of land over here on the creek, on the Missouri-Kansas border, an area we've worked a lot here in the last couple of years. There's supposed to be some really good walnut on this place. That's what the landowner tells us. And I've seen a few of them because I've bought timber right next to this place on 3 different farms. So Dad is going to pick me up. I've got about a 2-mile hike here by the time I walk everywhere I need to go. And he's going to pick me up on the complete other end of the farm. I kind of enjoy getting to walk timber like this because I get to see about everything. It makes it nice when Dad can drop me off and pick me up. So we're going to get to it and see if we can see something good. So right here, which if you look through there, you can see Dad in his truck. He knows he's got a while for me to, let me see, right there. That's Dad in his truck. But, so this is a little peninsula on the same piece of ground. Of course, the creek separates it, but I can see some good walnut right through the peninsula. And where I'm at, I can't get over to look at them. That's a little deep, a little too deep for the old Nick's work boots here. So, I can already count that I can see probably 7 good walnut out there. Some good sycamore too. I like cutting sycamore. So we've got that in the tally. And anytime I'm looking at timber, this is what I like to do. First of all, I like to look at my leaves on the floor. I like to see this. I like to see bur oak leaves. Of course, we got some kind of red oak here. We just look around to see what we got. Of course, anytime you're on the creek, you're gonna have some maple. I've seen a few bur oak, nothing real big. Good young trees, stuff that we generally don't cut at that stage in their life because the bur oak get really good and big, and it's good property, something to look forward to down the road. Of course, across the creek, the land's transitioning. It's getting a little higher over there, and it's getting back into water oak. So we don't need to be looking into water oak timber for what we're wanting. Good maple. I do like cutting maple as well, even though we don't have a very good market for it. Elm, which I can take it or leave it. Another thing, it's just pallet material for us. Ash, white cutting ash. The ground's transitioning again on the other side of the creek. That's one thing when you get to doing this long enough, you get to kind of reading your land layouts. You kind of know what to look for and where to look for it, judging on what the land's doing. I was fortunate enough, I've had a really, really good teacher growing up about how to find good timber and where to look for it. But it still requires a lot of this right here, a lot of walking. Here's something I do not like cutting. Shagbark hickory. Another thing I see is just so much of this right here. I've scared up a lot of deer already this morning. I don't deer hunt. Can care less about it. Doesn't interest me in the least bit. But I enjoy getting to come out on my little walks and my time in the woods, getting to see wildlife, and I try to be pretty wildlife conscious about harvesting timber and timber management. I always look for den trees, and if we know there's a den tree and it ain't gonna be worth a shoot for a log, we leave it, because when I was younger, I used to like to coon hunt and trap. So those are things I always try to think about. And I like seeing the wildlife. That's part of what makes this job so great, is getting to be out here like today and seeing the deer running around. Tall shagbark hickory. Hackberry. No walnut yet. I think we see a little one up here, a little bitty guy right there. Another one in front of us, small walnut. They need to stay. Need to grow yet. They could be harvested right now. They'd actually have decent logs on them because they're clean. But they just don't have the size we're really wanting. Aha. This is what we're wanting to see right here. That's a good tree. He's got some size to him. So that's what we're looking for right there. Got a real good 10-foot cut in it. Right there at the crook, we can probably pull another 10 or 12 and another piece above that, and some rough lumber up top. Those are the kind it takes. So, whenever I start seeing one or two, I know there's more around. Let's see, here's another one right out here. He's not as big, but he's a good log. Right there. Got a hard lean, good looking bark to it. I like seeing that square bark. That usually means it's going to be thin sapped. Good tree. Another little one right here. See some bur oak growing, they're a little small yet. Another walnut right here. Another walnut out there. Decent bur oak in front of us. Starting to get into a little timber now. And now getting into the bur oak. Good, clean, four-sided bur oak. Some size to it, some height to it. You get up top, it kicks it back to a 3- and 2-sided stuff, but still the size keeps it in a good market. You never know what you're going to find looking at timber. I have no idea what make that is. Somebody probably does that watches the channel, but we see stuff like this all the time. It's a big gnarly thing. Doesn't look like it's any good, but kind of interesting to see.
It's probably got a little bit of material in the top and on that limb, which even that top there is pretty good size, but still an interesting piece. At one time, that probably would have had a good stump on it back when the stump market was hot. And a lot of people misconception about the stump deal. They think you just dig down and take out the whole stump. No, that's not how it worked. Stump market, we would dig down a little deeper, but it was still part of the tree, the first 36 inches. And they had to be a particular kind of stump to be in the stump market, not just any old tree stump. So all you guys talking about your grandpa cutting the tree and digging the stump out, he didn't actually dig the stump out. Well, if he did, he might have, but he was probably pretty upset when he spent all that time digging roots and all, and they didn't want it. It's actually a pretty good deer. What we got here? Squirrels ate that side off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on that one side. Yeah, he was a good deer at one time. Coyotes got to eat too.